Have you ever had that moment? You've studied the vocabulary, you've practiced the grammar rule, you even watched that lesson yesterday, but then you're in a shop or on a call or meet someone new and your mind goes blank. The words just vanish. It's not that you don't know them, it's like they're hiding from you.
You end up smiling, nodding, maybe saying just yes, yes, and later you feel this quiet frustration. You think, I put in the time, why isn't it working? Why do I feel like I'm running in place, working so hard, but staying in the same spot? That feeling, that gap between your effort and your results, it's one of the most discouraging things for a language learner. It makes you question your ability, your memory, even your intelligence.
But what if I told you the problem is almost never your ability? What if the problem wasn't your effort, but the direction of that effort? What if you've been aiming at the wrong target this whole time? If that thought brings you a little hope, a little curiosity, then this video is for you. Let's talk about what you should really be focusing on. I want to tell you about my old English learning cycle. It was a predictable, painful loop. It would start with a burst of motivation. Maybe I'd see someone speaking fluently, or have a bad day where I couldn't express myself. I'd feel a fire. I'd go online, buy the newest, most recommended textbook. I'd set a huge goal. 2 hours of study every single day. I will be fluent in 6 months. I'd create beautiful, color-coded schedules. And for 3, 4, maybe 5 days, I was a hero. I'd sit at my desk, I'd grind, then life would happen. A busy day at work, feeling tired, a friend would visit, I'd miss one day, and the guilt would start whispering, you failed, you broke your promise, you're not disciplined. I'd try to get back on track, but the 2-hour goal now felt like a mountain, so I'd avoid it. The textbook would sit on my desk, a silent monument to my failure. Weeks would pass. My motivation would become a memory, and then the cycle would restart. I thought my problem was a lack of willpower. I looked at people who seemed consistent and thought they had something I didn't, some special discipline gene. I saw my journey as a straight line to fluency, and I was a failure who kept falling off that line. The truth, which took me years to see, was so much simpler. I was obsessed with the goal, the distant, shiny finish line of fluency, but I had built no system to walk the path. I was waiting for a feeling, motivation to carry me, when I should have been building a tiny, automatic cart that would move forward even when I didn't feel like pushing. So here is the simple, profound shift that changed everything for me. It's a one-sentence change that alters everything that comes after it. Stop focusing on the outcome you want and start focusing on the person you want to become. Let's break that down because it sounds subtle, but it's a revolution. Your goal is an outcome. I want to speak fluent English. That's a result you wish to have someday. The identity shift is, I want to become the kind of person who speaks English regularly. Do you feel the difference? The first is about having. The second is about being. One is a destination you want to reach. The other is a character you want to embody. It's the difference between I want a clean room and I am a tidy person. If your goal is a clean room, you might marathon clean it when guests come over, then let it get messy again. If your identity is I am a tidy person, you naturally put things away after using them. You don't do it for a result. You do it because it's who you are. Your habits are like daily votes for this person you want to become. Every time you do a tiny, positive English habit, you are casting a vote for I am an English speaker. And you don't need unanimous votes. You don't need to be perfect. You just need the majority. One tiny vote today, another tomorrow. These votes, over time, become an unshakable belief. You are not preparing to speak English someday. You are, through your habits, becoming that speaker right now. I remember hearing a line that glued this idea together for me. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Let me sit with that for a second and explain it in my own humble way. Your goal is your aspiration, your dream.
It's what you see on the horizon. But your system, that's the daily ground you walk on. It's your routines, your default actions, your tiny habits. When your willpower is low, when motivation is gone, you won't magically rise up to achieve your big goal. You will fall back to what's easy, to what's automatic, your system. So if your system is study only when I feel motivated, you'll fall back to not studying. We have to flip this. We have to build a system so simple, so woven into the fabric of our existing life, that doing it is easier than not doing it. We want to fall back into practice, not away from it. My first conscious habit using this idea was so small I was almost embarrassed by it. But that's the point. My mornings are simple. I walk to my kitchen, I grind coffee beans, and I press brew on my coffee maker. It takes about 2 minutes. My new rule was, during those 2 minutes, while the coffee brewed and the smell filled the kitchen, I would listen to one short, simple English podcast. That was it. I didn't open a notebook. I didn't even demand that I understand every word. My only job was to let the sounds of English fill those 2 minutes. Some mornings I was half asleep, leaning against the counter. But I did it because the trigger, the sound of the coffee machine, was unavoidable. I didn't need to decide. The machine started, so my listening started. After about a week, something magical happened. One morning, the podcast didn't load quickly. I stood there in silence, just listening to the coffee pot gurgle, and it felt wrong. It felt strange. The habit had been woven in. That tiny action started to shift my identity. It was no longer, I have to listen to English. It was, oh, I'm the kind of person who listens to English with my morning coffee. From that one tiny anchor, other habits naturally stacked. While I drink my first sip, I'll recall one word I heard. Later, while I wash the cup, I'll repeat a sentence from it. It grew not from force, but from natural expansion. The system had started to work. Now, let's crystallize this lesson into practical English you can use. We've already talked about mindset. Let's give you the language to describe it. First, let's deepen 3 useful words from this idea. Compound. We defined it as making something bigger by adding to it. Let's see it in action. Small daily efforts in English compound over years. You don't notice it every day, but after a year, the growth is clear. It's the opposite of a quick fix. Consistent. The absolute key. It means regular, steady, and reliable. The magic is in the regularity, not the intensity. You can say, consistent practice, even 10 minutes a day, builds a stronger habit than a 5-hour study session once a month. Trigger, or cue, this is the event that automatically starts your habit routine. It's the foundation of habit stacking. My trigger for listening to English is the sound of my coffee machine. What can be your trigger? A powerful phrase to adopt is, I'm working on becoming. This grammar frames your journey as an active present process. Instead of the static, I want to be, or the demanding, I need to learn, try, I'm working on becoming a more confident speaker. I'm working on becoming someone who reads in English for fun. A simple but profound grammar note. We use the present continuous tense, I am becoming, for a reason. This tense is for actions happening now, at this moment, and also for actions in progress around the present time. By saying, I am becoming, you tell your brain the change is already in motion. It's not a future fantasy, I will become. It's a current reality you are building with each tiny habit. Your identity is in the present continuous tense. I want you to write one sentence in the comments below. Start it with this exact phrase. I am working on becoming a person who, and then finish it with your tiny new identity. For example, who learns one new word from a song daily? Who thinks in English for 30 seconds while showering? Who watches the news headlines in English every evening? This act of writing it down and declaring it in our community is your first vote. I need to be very real with you. This is not a magic trick.
Some days, you will do your 2-minute habit and feel absolutely nothing. No burst of inspiration, no sudden clarity. You won't feel smarter or more fluent. You might even feel a bit silly. And that is completely 100% normal. In fact, it's expected. Progress in language is not a straight line you can see day to day. It's more like building a brick wall. You lay one brick, your tiny habit. It looks like nothing. You lay another brick the next day. Still just a short line of bricks. But after 100 days, you look up and there's a wall, a structure that wasn't there before. You are not just building a language skill, you are building something far more important, the belief that you are someone who shows up for yourself. That belief, that self-trust, is what will carry you through plateaus and frustrations. The compound effect is a law of the universe, but it requires patience. Be kind to your past self, who was just doing their best with the methods they knew. And be a helpful friend to your future self, who will look back at these tiny, invisible votes you cast today with so much gratitude. If this way of thinking, focusing on systems over goals, identity over outcomes, makes sense to you, if you're tired of the exhausting cycle of motivation and guilt, then you are in the right place. This is what our community is about. We are not gurus. We are humble learners, sharing what actually works in the messy reality of daily life. We're figuring it out, one small step at a time, together. But for now, your mission is simple. Let me know in the comments, what is the one tiny habit you are committing to this week? Reading your commitments inspires me and everyone else here. Thank you for your time and your trust today. Remember, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Keep going, just a little bit. I'll see you in the next one.